Hi guys! Today we're gonna watch me update this front garden, trim up my azalea bush, dig some border. Here's the bush in all its glory before I cut it up. I have some hedge trimmers and they're really amazing. I just plug it in here and I'm gonna trim them up, getting it all set, and I decided right here that I need to check for some dog eggs or dog turds or whatever you want to call them before I start. So that's what I do here next. Probably my least favorite outside chore, but somebody's going to do it. So, and here are my hedge trimmers. I'm going to hook them up. I always like to do this little knot tie, so when you're pulling on the cord, it doesn't unplug it from the tool. It's a really helpful thing to use. And this is really fun. It's like giving the bush a haircut. I love it. So this bush blooms usually April, May, and it has white and red. There's more white than red. It's kind of not my favorite bush, but this time of year is the best. So, but it's time for me to cut it up so it'll fill out and look better for the rest of the season. Just to let you all know, that is an azalea bush. I have a red one and a white one, and usually I might wait a little bit later to trim it, but I'm kind of on I have the day to do it today. So you don't want to trim it after it starts growing, after all the flowers drop, because then you will cut off flowers for next year and it won't be as flowerful. So if you trim it now before all the flowers start growing and before it puts out a lot of summer growth, it's a good time. I also wind up having to trim it in the summer too, just because it gets bigger than I would like. So I gotta figure out when I gotta time that. But really the key to having some good shaped and really good flowering is pruning these guys at the right times. So they're getting on their way to being done flowering, and today's the day that I had to do it. And I wanted to do this before I redo my garden here, because raking is a lot easier when you don't have a nice garden. You rake everything out of the way for later. So here we go. So now I'm going to rake up all the trimmings and the flowers and get them all out of the way as best I can. So I didn't want to do the garden before I did this trim, because it's a lot easier to clean up the garden before it's all nice and mulched. So I'm just filling up that wheelbarrow there and taking everything around and dumping it in my backwoods to compost. There's a lot of other sticks and leaves and things like that there, so taking those around. Next up, I'm clearing away those rocks. All the rocks and bricks that I lay there, I'm going to relay them with a border. So I'm cleaning up all the rocks and the bricks. I'm just putting them in the wheelbarrow for now, so they're out of my way. And then I have my gator tool, which is, this has got to be the best. I don't know if I said the other was my favorite. This is definitely my favorite, because there's some bigger pieces of that azalea. They're like old wood that I couldn't cut with the hedge trimmers, and the dogs get wrapped on them constantly. So I wanted to trim them up. That's what I got this tool out for. As bad as my dogs. So then I'm going to clear those away, dump that in the back, and I brought up this blower that we just recently got to see how that would do, blowing away some of the flowers that I didn't rake out of the way. This is also a very fun tool. It worked out pretty good. I tried to blow some of them over into that orange tote.
This stuff.
It worked.
And we're edging this bed. Bricks on the one side, kind of, and compost on the
Not
other.
centered on the camera, me. But I'm deciding to get that composite edging out. It's about, it says 20 feet on there. Kind of reminds you of like a roof shingle, but I think it's like rubber or composite actually. And I'm laying down some weed tarp, and then I'm going to just use that little shovel to make a trench to put the edging in. And that will help keep the rocks in place because my dogs like to knock all that over, and also to keep the weed tarp down. So right here I was just working on making that edge, and then I'm going to take the edging and try and just slide it into that little slit that I made. You can hammer it in. I was seeing how well it would do here. Just using that shovel and making a little trench. Wasn't going in very easy there, and we'll discover why in a moment here. Let me get my shovel and my scissors. I'm going to cut the weed tarp next, but we'll find out shortly why it was tricky for me to get that edging in right in that spot. But first I'm going to just get that weed tarp and cover up the other part of the garden. So here I am again. I took a break, and then I'm going to make that little trench again. Put this liner in, and look what I found. Bricks. I wonder how far out here it goes. Hopefully not that far. Let's keep on. So now you know why I couldn't trench. Because there were actually bricks there. And I go kind of a little quest for a little bit, following the bricks, digging them up, and they go way out into my yard. And I decide that there's too much going on in my life right now to follow the brick road into the yard. So I cover it back up, and I rearrange where I'm doing my trench, and decide we're going to lay this composite in here on the other side of the bricks so I can get in as deep as I need it to. So I dig a better trench. I got rid of the weed tarp. I start on the other side, digging that trench to get that composite edging in. And just go around the bricks that are there. I didn't dig them all out. I just kind of covered them back up. Because that's a bigger project that I'm ready to commit to right now. So, as you can see, it goes in way better when there's not bricks blocking your way. And then it comes with these little stakes that has like a little hook on the top, and you just kind of hammer it and it holds it into place. Hammer on the ground. I used the hammer to hammer down the edging in some places too, where my trench wasn't as deep as it could be. I looked for my rubber mallet, but I couldn't find it, and this hammer worked just as good, just as well. So then I'm going to bring my weed tarp back in and kind of stick that down into the edge of that back side of the composite, because that's where I want to cover, that's where I want mulch to be, and then the yard's going to be on the other side. And then I take all these rocks and little brick chunks that I have, and I start working on lining this little cute garden, and I put them on the side where they're going to weigh down the weed tarp, and the composite edging will hold them from rolling out into the yard like my dogs like to do. I did a mix of some broken bricks and some rocks. And then I get out my tamper to flatten up kind of where I was digging, looking for bricks, just to make it nice again. And the grass will grow back here, but it was very lumpy and bumpy from where I was looking for the bricks. So the tamper helped.
When it rains, we get a lot of water here because this is bent down, so I still have like a trough dug out this way and that way, sort of. But here, I found the bricks, but I kind of recovered them up. I just put the black band thing like behind them and hit that in, and whoop. So yeah, so here you go. I have those bricks and stuff in the back holding down the weed cloth just until I can go and get my load of mulch. And I'll probably mulch even more, like around, and put weed cloth around. But for now, this is what I'm gonna do for the day.
Yeah, we shovel up some self-load mulch and compost here. I have my helpers filming and shoveling. Kids younger than 12 are not allowed out of the car, so I have my older kid helping and the younger one filming for me. We also got some compost because I had a few more things that I need to plant to fill in some dirt. It's always good. Those big totes are too heavy to lift, so I need to fill them halfway and then
I get a very
use the bucket
funny
to scoop in the
shot.
rest. So here, when I got it home, I decided to dump out the compost into my wheelbarrow to help me move it over to the garden. You can see I already dumped some. I'm moving those back bricks out of the way. They were just there holding the weed tarp down until I got the mulch. You can see how I made this kind of turn, and I didn't have enough mulch to do that whole squared off area, so you'll see here I give it kind of a little turn and shorten the bed up a little and make it so I can use the mulch I had. And I'm going to cut off that extra weed tarp, and it looks cute. Just the area where the lawn meets that little garden. I like it. Hopefully my dogs won't tear up the rock with the composite edging there. And my bushes look real sad now, but as soon as they get leaves, they'll be looking great again. And there they are with the flowers. Thanks for watching, guys.